For more debates, updates, and bonus content, sign up at thebigconversation.show.
You speak of a highest ethical principle. Now, did evolution give you that ethic, or is it something that you actually believe goes beyond, any kind of evolutionary explanation? There is this thing that we should aim at, regardless of where evolution took us in the past.
I have a feeling the answer to that is going to sound a little bit like nonsense, but every creature that has ever existed on this planet has had the identical purpose, right? And that purpose has to do with propagating its particular genetic spellings into the future. That purpose is served by creating larger numbers of offspring, but that's not the only way it's served. The idea is getting genes into the future, right? Living to compete in future rounds of the game. It's a very stupid game. It is the cosmic spelling bee that ends in genocide. And so what I believe is that we humans are among the most amazing creations of that process that have ever been. We have an absolutely stunning capacity for compassion and decency and empathy, and that our ability to comprehend allows us to take those capacities and to recognize that what we are actually designed to do and what our traditions are designed to facilitate is not defensible. And we must take evolution out of the driver's seat, and we must put ourselves, our best ethical selves, in the driver's seat if we're to survive. And the bitter pill for me is I don't know whether that's even possible, but I do think there's nothing else worth pursuing. Either we do that, or it's just a question of watching how it comes apart.
What do you think about the way Bret has arrived at this highest ethical principle to which any evolutionary processes ultimately have to be?
I'm going to take what he says with great seriousness, and indeed his view with the greatest respect. But I am going to just make 2 points, which I think just to show that there's a great discussion to be had here. Okay. Number one, this does sound just like utilitarianism. The language you used very much along those lines. I don't object to that in many ways, but why that theory choice? There is that issue, and also, I admire this noble aspiration to find the highest possible ideal, and I like that. But evolution doesn't really allow you to talk about the highest possible. I'm just worried about that. And also, I think, David Hume is coming back to haunt us a bit. You cannot move from the empirical to the normative. And so, how on earth do we get this? And actually, if I may say it, and this is simply me responding to what I think is a very interesting proposal from you. It's almost as if you're proposing a new religion to meet this new challenge. And I think that's very interesting, but I think you may find some people who would disagree with that.
Oh, people hate it. But I would be careful. It's not a new religion. Yes. What it is something that sits in the same place. It addresses some of the same needs, but it is not founded on the same principle. It's founded on an understanding that what we are wired for is not a good match for what we are capable of. So I do think, and I know I have to say it gently because of the sacred, because of people's what would up until very recently have been a necessary resistance to new ideas corrupting the compendiums of wisdom that they've been handed. But we can all see that we live in circumstances that we have no wisdom for. In fact, even the world that we were each born into is now gone. Things are changing so rapidly that we couldn't possibly have wisdom that would keep up. So, what are we going to do about that question? Can we do something about it while we are fighting each other? I don't think so. So in some sense, there's a kind of utilitarianism here. I'm not a narrow utilitarian. It would have to be a sort of enlightened utilitarian for me to sign up for it. Otherwise, you can justify things like slavery and the like. But I do think whether it is unseemly or not, we actually have to contemplate coming up with something novel enough to have a prayer of being up to the challenge of dealing with our problems.